I've always noticed this. This even goes back to like radio days, like way back. Whenever I start to put a show together or put the podcast together for the live stream, start collecting things last night, collect some audio, collect some video for you. I'm like, what ridiculous things are coming to us that we have to deal with now through the news? What's going on? Quite often there's a trend. There's always like they come in packs. There's like a similar theme that shows up. And today's theme, and this might be a first, are retail stories. I think that is a first, actually. That's kind of weird. But it's true and it's relevant because we're a consumer society, right? So often, what happens with retail stores, people that want to get our money for goods and services, so often that reflects what you see with retail stores, what's going on in culture and society. And I'm here to tell you, things are getting better. We're starting to heal. That doesn't mean all these retail CEOs get it, but the consumers do. We do. The regular people do. Yes, we're going to talk about the Cracker Barrel awful rebrand. Now, you've seen the sign, and everybody seems to be reacting to the Cracker Barrel logo image redesign. Oh, it goes deeper than that. Because now they're starting to look at the rebrand inside the stores, which are ridiculous. But now people are looking at who this CEO in charge of it was. Oh, this is interesting. I'd put her in the category of CEOs of retail that don't get it. That's, from the restaurant side of things. Here's another retail story for you. The CEO of Target is stepping down. Everybody, we all remember the Bud Light backlash, right? Of course, and it affected everybody. It never really went away. The bigger backlash in consumer world was against Target, and they never recovered, and it's resulted in this. We'll talk about that as well. But there is another CEO. Here's another retail story of Bed Bath & Beyond. Remember those stores? They're coming back. But this CEO is amazing. This guy's incredible. He has the novel idea of actually listening to the consumer base on where they should open up their new stores. We'll tell you about him. Oh, and by the way, he says we are absolutely not opening in California. Another ballsy move. News-wise, an update on the killer truck driver that killed 3 people last week in Florida. Turns out he couldn't even read road signs. Oh, yeah. That was interesting. DeSantis wants him back. And we're going to wrap it up today with a story about cops pushing back and feeling comfortable enough to mock protesters. You getting the feeling that things are healing, that things are getting better? When cops are comfortable to be themselves and not afraid of backlash, things are getting better. Oh, yeah, we got all of it coming up. But thanks for being here, first of all. Let's get some business out of the way. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream, all part of Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. Audio podcast listeners, appreciate you, love you. More and more of you every single week. Just press subscribe or download or whatever your platform prefers. And the replay on here, mostly on X, is where you guys find it later on. Thanks for pressing subscribe and like and follow and all that crap. Let's get to it. You ready for this? We've all seen it. Trending news story. In fact, number one, yesterday, must be a slow news day. Yesterday was the number one for a while trending news story in the country, the Cracker Barrel rebrand. Now, everybody has seen the logo. This is mostly a visual. I get it. It's rough. It's pretty bad. Now, I would agree with you. The Cracker Barrel, they needed some help. I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel in a couple of years, but, I've certainly been there dozens of times for sure. The old style, homey, kind of kitschy, country cooking kind of feel. Never really the best food, but I always kind of like Cracker Barrel for what it was. And they always had the little lobby store with all the knick-knacky kind of things, the really cheesy thing. Also, by the way, I don't know if this is part of the rebrand, but also the place you could only find certain types of old kind of candy, like Necco wafers. I'm the only person that I know that actually likes Necco wafers, but regardless, that's where you could find those things. Now, the rebrand everybody reacted to was the logo. They went from the old-timey guy kind of leaning up against a barrel. Well, they got rid of him. He's too old-timey. He's too much of an old white guy. Had to get rid of him. And now they kept the same yellow with a generic, bland-looking Cracker Barrel, just this logo. Now, that's rough enough. You may not have seen the inside. What they did for the rebrand in the inside, they took what was never really that exciting of an inside place. And if you've been to a Cracker Barrel anywhere, on a road trip or near your neighborhood, you know what I'm talking about. And they took away all the collectibles, things, the old-timey kind of Americana inside. They took that away and they made it as bland as possible. That was the rebrand. But it goes deeper. So to talk about the rebrand, the CEO, and she's really the story here, her name is Julie Massino. She went on, I think this was Good Morning America yesterday. This is where the news broke. And she says, all of our managers love it. They love the rebrand. It's so exciting.
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feedback and the
Listen to Strahan. Really? That's exciting. That's fascinating news. I love TV people when they have to pretend they're interested in the interviewer. Really? Cracker Barrel remodel. That's fascinating. Anyway, here's what your managers were saying. They want some help and they want some marketing. That's what they're telling you, lady. But the rebrand, nobody can possibly be happy with. And it's probably going to go. Now, if you're just listening on audio, you couldn't really see that, lady. And I really try. I try my best. I've always tried this, not to just judge people on looks. You know, we should be better than that, right? But I think her whole image is part of this story. It just is. Now, looking at her, if you happen to see it, unless you're an audio listener, do you think that's a lady that grew up going to Cracker Barrel stores, the restaurants? Do you think she's somebody that's ever, like, gotten some stocking stuffer knickknacks in the front of the store? The old-timey Americana Cracker Barrel kind of thing. I don't know her exact background or where she grew up, but she seems like somebody I would never see in a Cracker Barrel. So she probably doesn't get what the consumer base wants or what the manager she was talking about wants. But here's the real story that actually is relevant to it, where I can pick on her background. So, like I said, her name is Julie Massino. Despite the rebrand and the remodels that she claims the managers wanted, this is what she did keep, because a lot of people now have dug into her background and the corporate practices of Cracker Barrel. Got rid of the Americana on the side, got rid of the guy, the old-timey country guy in the front, because, you know, he's too old and he's too white and he's too, got to get rid of him. But she did keep, reportedly, the DEI hiring practices within Cracker Barrel corporate, stated in their corporate outline, identifying, recruiting, and advancing hires by race. Okay, if you're talking about a rebrand, that's what you need to remodel, lady. Not so much the old country cooker guy in the front leaning on the barrel of rebrand. So now, of course, that's gotten the attention of the Tennessee Attorney General and America First Legal for DEI stuff as they go after that, because it's obviously illegal. It's racist and it's sexist and that's a CEO that doesn't get it. Let's make you feel better about things, though. Want to talk about a CEO that does get it? This was amazing. Do you remember Bed Bath & Beyond retail stores? It was one of the stores where I would go with my wife or my family or whatever. One of the ones I didn't mind going into. It was okay as a guy. I'd rather wander around, look at the interesting things. Okay. I always like the Beyond part. What's Beyond? The Bed Bath & Beyond part. That sounds mysterious. Well, they didn't do too well, and a lot of them closed. I thought the one near me closed. I thought the entire company had closed. Well, they got a new CEO, and they're going to reopen. The goal is to reopen 300 Bed Baths & Beyonds. Now, that means they got a lot of funding, but also it means one thing. They've got consumer demand for it. Probably going to look completely different than it did before that we knew Bed Bath & Beyond as, right? But I want to talk about the new CEO they have, because this guy, to me, is fascinating. His name is Marcus Leonis, and he's done a lot of social media because, lo and behold, Marcus has a novel idea. Now, I know this sounds crazy. You're going to think I'm making this up. The new CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond came up with something crazy. You ready? Insane. Here it is. He actually listened to what the consumer base wants. Wow, that's nuts. For craziness, right? I know. In fact, he went on, I just saw this morning. I had to follow the guy on X because he actually did a post where he said, why don't you guys chime in and you tell me where you'd like the next Bed Bath & Beyond to open, your city or town. And then he was offering like a gift card reward or something. Amazing. But I will tell you where one is not going to open, the state of California. He did a video that was released yesterday, and he explained why he will not open new stores in the state of California. It's just too tough to do business there. Here he is. Again, Marcus Leonis. This is a CEO that gets it.
We've made the decision to not open in the state of California. And while it was a big place for business in the past for Bed Bath & Beyond, it's just too cost prohibitive. At some point, some business needs to take a stand and remind the state of California that while they keep reminding us that they're the fourth largest economy in the world, that's going to dissipate over time.
How about that? How about, I think the most important thing he said right there that got me excited was, he goes, at some point these businesses need to take a stand. Oh, thank God. Somebody gets it. Now, what did I say in the intro? It's weird. It is what it is. We didn't make the rules, but we are a consumer nation. So often, what happens with these retail stores, what happens in, the commercial element of our society reflects what's going on in the culture. It's changing, guys. It's turning around, and they're starting to listen to people again. And that's all because of pushback. Customers started speaking out. Guys like that started getting hired, and now it's making a difference. Oh, by the way, good luck, California. Yeah, great. They love to talk about how big we'd be the fourth largest economy in the world. Not for much longer. That's what he's telling you. One more CEO story to talk about. I told you they come in themes. I don't know. Do you see this? Target. The Target CEO, Brian Cornell, he's stepping down in January of 26, a couple of months to go. He's been there for 11 years. Now, that's relevant to the story. Why? Think back 11 years. The height of the wokeness in corporate retail, and he oversaw all of it with Target. Now, we all like to look back at a consumer pushback at the Bud Light thing, right? We all know the whole Bud Light thing, and they became a punchline, basically. There was a much bigger pushback, and it happened with Target, and they've never really recovered. And the result of it all now is this guy stepping down. They've never recovered from the pushback that happened with, you know where I'm going with this, all the pride stuff in the front. Specifically, the story that put everybody over the edge was selling the kids' trans bathing suits that had the tuck feature. You know what I'm talking. I don't need to go into that. It's too early for that. Never recovered from that. In fact, the last fiscal quarter down another 1% from the year before. Still $25 billion in sales, but not what they were. And they've got some other problems. I mean, Target drives me crazy. First of all, you can't get out of there under $100, and I can never find the same thing twice at Target. It drives me insane. Regardless, this guy's stepping down after all of that. They never recovered from. I will never forget, and I've told this story a couple of times. 2023 is when the big boycott happened with the Pride Day. It was the start of Pride Month. It was the start of June, I believe. And it was the story when it broke about the bathing suits I was talking about in the thing. And we were on the air, and I had heard the story that Target overnight cleared out their entire Pride section. Like overnight. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting reaction. And this was a couple of years ago. I'm driving home from work. I get off the air, and I said, let me see if that's true. We were talking about it all morning long. Let me see if it's actually true. And I stopped by a local Target that's kind of near my house, and I walked into the front, and it was incredible. They actually cleared out a giant section, which tells you how big the Pride section was. A giant section overnight, called in full staff to clear it out, of the entire section that was all the Pride stuff. That's when it first hit me, much more than the Bud Light boycott. That's when it hit me that consumers have had enough, and they're pushing back. And sometimes it takes a while. Sure enough, here we are a few years later, and this guy is gone. Brian Cornell stepping down. Can't lose that much money in a corporate environment and expect to be CEO. Believe it or not, throughout this, and I just saw this morning, there's a pretty interesting human interest story about this Target guy stepping down, because they have to name the new guy. The board of directors have to name who's coming in next. And this guy's name is, I don't know what he's all about other than his background. Michael Fidelki. He's the new CEO of Target coming in. Michael Fidelki. Listen to this story. Now, I don't know whether he's going to try to bring back all the woke stuff, not listen to the consumers. I don't know. I have a feeling, anyway, that he actually kind of gets it, because as a hard-working dude, listen to this guy's story. In 2003, he started at Target. He was an intern. Let's give him some credit. That's a pretty amazing story. In 2003, Michael Fidelki interned at Target, and now he's going to be the CEO. I'm sure he must have worked his ass off. Hard work does pay off. Good for him. All right, cool. All right, that's enough of retail. Let's get to some news. Got an update now on a horrific story. I won't spend too much time on it, but it'll make you feel better when this guy sees justice. Last week was a big story. For 2 days I talked about it, with a killer truck driver on Florida's Turnpike, kind of near me. And I've said it. I've gone by that area of the road maybe thousands of times. Decided to make an illegal U-turn in the official use only lane. Killed 3 people. no regard. Had no reaction when that happened. Harjinder Singh, right? We knew he was an illegal alien. That was the first piece of news that came out. Well, there's some more news, but Ron DeSantis, Florida's governor, I know you may be still mad at DeSantis for running against Trump. I know there's still a lot of pushback against DeSantis, but I would tell you, in areas like this, he's really good when he seeks justice. This is what he said on Jesse Waters last night about bringing this guy back to face justice in Florida.
We had an issue where you had an illegal alien truck driver that got a commercial driver's license in the state of California, employed by a California company, kill 3 people in Florida. This guy didn't even speak English. We're bringing him up on charges. He's going to face a lot. And I can announce, Jesse, that I said initially the company needs to be held accountable. And we've been working with the federal government, and they are pulling that company's license to do business because.
That's what has to happen. That's where he's really good. DeSantis actually does get stuff done in that way. The company that hired the guy, not enough attention has been put on the company that hired these illegal drivers. And I'm telling you right now, Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, I know you're wearing a lot of hats, you got a lot of jobs, drop everything you're doing right now. There's no more important issue than going after these companies that have illegal, dangerous, incredibly irresponsible drivers on the road, driving massive commercial trucks. There's no more. Can you think of a more important safety issue that affects you every single day? Think of how many trucks, how many tractor trailers, commercial drivers you pass every single day that may not even be able to read the road signs. Oh, come on, Bill, that's hyperbole. You're tricking that up for effect. No, listen to this story. The illegal truck driver we're talking about, Harjinder Singh, well, as it turns out, it's a lot worse than you imagined. He failed an English language assessment. On his test, he eventually gave him a commercial's driver's license anyway. He only got 2 out of 12 answers right, identifying 1 out of 4 highway traffic signs. Washington and California issued him a commercial driver's license anyway. 2 things. Go after those states that let this happen. And the second thing is exactly what DeSantis right there. You know who's to blame as well? Whoever the hell hired him. That's who's to blame as well. Couldn't speak English, couldn't read road signs, had no interest in that. How, do you think he really actually went through all of the commercial driver's license training? What do you think the chances are? I think nil. Here's the other horrifying thing, but it's okay. Because now the attention, like I said last week when this story first popped up, once the attention is on the story, we can start to fix the problem. Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary, go after these companies, find out. I'm not so concerned right now about the guys in back of Home Depot who are illegal, who want to find some day work. Not so concerned about them right now. I'm concerned about criminal illegal gangs. I'm really concerned because we actually are with them every single day. I'm really concerned about illegals that don't even properly know how to drive a commercial truck. That's a much more relevant danger. And I think we're just realizing right now how much of a problem that is. Go after that, Sean Duffy. Not the guys looking to clean up the lawn or the retail plaza. Go after these guys. It's what they're going to have to do. I hope they do bring it back. DeSantis will get that done. He'll bring him back to Florida. That has to be fixed. But this will make you feel better. There's another thing that reflects society. When cops feel comfortable to be themselves. My whole entire life, I'd grown up around cops that would give you crap right back, right? The old Irish cops that I grew up with in suburban Boston all the time. I mean, they could tear you down to size just as soon as they look at you. And it was awesome because they were comfortable to be themselves. Are you getting the feeling now? Are you noticing this? That's starting to come back? This is another example. We're starting to heal and things are getting better. First case example of this was in Rhode Island just the other day. Remember the story we had of the drunk assistant prosecutor? I'm a DA. I'm a DA. And the cop said right on his body cam, good for you. I don't give a crap. Get in the car. You're getting arrested. Fantastic. You didn't see that a couple of years ago. Here's another example for you. This just in Washington, D.C. yesterday. It's the big event where J.D. Vance and some other Trump officials went to visit the cops and some of the feds cleaning up Washington, D.C. Well, there were all kinds of protesters, of course, to tell them that they're horrible and they're Nazis and they're awful people and that we go home and you're occupiers and all this other crap. Well, this one cop who was there providing security, where do you hear what he says to this one protester who decided to make it an issue about Gaza and Israel and Palestine, and he wasn't putting up with any crap at all.
Appropriation. Yes, you are. By wearing a scarf that is trying to stop a genocide. You think that's appropriating a culture? Yes, you are. Okay.
So she was wearing the kafaya, the Palestinian thing, as part of her protest. The cop decides to come out and say, well, what you're doing there is cultural appropriation. He gave her right, and then she's totally flummoxed and said, oh, you think it is? And he goes, yeah, I do. It's healing, guys. The cops are starting to feel comfortable again, and when that happens, things are getting better. All right, the takeaway, you do have a voice. Look at what's going on in retail America. We're a consumer nation. When that starts to change, they're hearing your voice. Common sense is starting to reign free again. That's the biggest takeaway, which is a great thing. All right, we're getting closer to the weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me, as always. Make it a wicked awesome Thursday. I'll talk to you tomorrow, but in the meantime, don't forget the podcast is on the audio version all the time. Make sure you press subscribe, no matter what platform you like to listen on. And the replay on X and YouTube and on Facebook here as well. Just a programming note. It's some more interviews, long-form interviews I'm going to put on those other channels. It's Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. Keep an eye out for those things. Mostly probably posted tomorrow and through the weekend. That'll be happening as well as we grow this thing here. It's too much fun not to do. Make it awesome. I'll talk to you tomorrow.